Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Spread Zone. My name is Riz, joined by Tim McKernan, Anthony Stalter. We're sponsored by FanDuel, and the purpose of this show is simple: help you win money. So, fellas, one game, a million betting menus. We're keeping it tight for this podcast today. Spread, total, team totals, and halves. The bets you could actually beat if you are disciplined. All lines we quote today, of course, are on FanDuel. But before we get to the meat of the podcast, Tim, a recap of our picks from the conference championship games.
Well, Riz, something special has been taking place on this podcast. A gentleman recommitted himself to the task and changed his name and went from Anthony Stalter to Tony Stalter. And ever since, Tony Stalter has gone on a heater. Anthony Stalter, I'm not even tracking those numbers anymore. I don't know. Tony Stalter, in the 2 weeks since he changed his name, has gone 10-3 after going 6-2 in conference championship weekend. Unbelievable. And by the way, it should be better. He kind of got bad beaten on a couple of those too.
Yeah, that first week,
yes.
we had a couple of half-point losses.
Yeah.
Both you boys.
Yeah, if you don't like what you're seeing in the mirror, you change your name and good things happen. That's kind of the lesson, I think. Well, maybe some better research and maybe some better decision-making.
Sure.
Either way, I think the name change is really the key.
That's the bottom line.
So, conference championship games, 6-2?
6-2 for Anthony. I went 4-3. I only made 7 plays. Why? I don't have an answer. And Riz, you went 4-4. So the podcast overall, look at us.
Right.
Look at us. Nobody below 500. I won my lock. You boys lost your locks. So the lock total, 9-12 for Anthony on the year, 43%. Riz, 10-12. 46%. I'm 11-10. I am 69-74 overall this season for 48.25%. Riz 58-79, 42.3%.
We'll get him next year.
But in changing his name, we now have somebody above 500.
Yes.
Tony Stalter is 75-73 for 50.68% and can finish above 500 with a strong week this week.
Let's get profitable.
Let's
get profitable here.
So, Super Bowl 60, Seahawks, Patriots, Levi Stadium. Now, here's what matters from the betting perspective. So, the spread is sitting at Seattle minus 4.5. That's a meaningful number because it's not the key 3 or 7, but it's still telling you the market thinks Seattle is the clear notch better. Total is 45.5, which is a pretty defense respected Super Bowl number. Would you not agree to that?
No question about it.
And the matchup style matters. ESPN's betting breakdown gets into this. So Seattle leans run first, lots of under center looks, and they love, the boot rollout action with Sam Darnold. New England, meanwhile, is built around Drake May distributing and spreading defenses out. So you've got a Super Bowl that can turn into long drives, field position, red zone execution, less 7-on-7 track meet. So let's start with this way. Let's start with it this way. Against the spread, what do you got? What do you got, Tim, for the spread on this?
I am on the Patriots and
Patriots plus 4
and the 4.5. I am on the Patriots and the 4.5. I have 2 specific reasons why I'm on the Patriots and the 4.5. Number one, what you said at the outset, Riz. I expect it to be a defensive game. I could see it being a spot where they actually lose the game but cover the spread. It strikes me as being a perfect matchup for a team to win but not cover. But without question, I could see the Patriots winning it. And then I look at their run defense, and I think that is such a huge factor in this game. They have been dominant. They had a bit of a stretch in the middle of the season where they fell off, and during the playoffs, they've been so good with their run defense. I also, just from a betting mindset standpoint, I think the prisoner of the moment would go, they probably shouldn't even been here. They should have lost to Denver without that weather, without some questionable play calling on the part of Sean Payton, and people remember the offense of the Seahawks against the Rams. So I like capitalizing on what I think is an edge here in getting 4.5 for a team that I think can win straight up.
Anthony. Well, Tim, the numbers would back you up. Since 2002, when the NFL expanded to 32 teams, underdogs in the big game are 16-6 against the spread and have 12 wins outright.
Wow.
We have not seen many large spreads in recent Super Bowl era. This is the 5th time since 2010 that we have an underdog of 4 or more points in the Super Bowl. 12th time since the field expanded to 32 teams in 2002 that there is a team favored by more than a field goal. Underdogs getting more than a field goal have covered 7 straight Super Bowls.
Wow.
Winning 5 of those 7 games outright.
Wow.
They have covered 10 of those 12 games since 2002, winning 6 times outright. And blowouts in the Super Bowl have typically come in the tighter spreads, modern era, while the lopsided victories have been by underdogs.
So does this mean Tony Stalter is taking the Patriots plus 4.5?
No, not my favorite number. And listen, Tim, if you're, this is more square Anthony Stalter than Tony Stalter.
Because I'm tailing Tony. Tony.
All the data you just gave us.
Yeah, so Tony leans more toward the props. I mean, if we go back,
That is true. This is prop city over here.
This is not a prop podcast.
No, this is
We're
not-
going to get to that the next podcast.
So I am speaking as Anthony, not as Tony. So don't go changing your pick.
Fade Anthony, tail Tony.
Yeah, that's right. So for me, I lean into the Patriots offensively struggling so much in the postseason.
Yeah.
I mean, it really has been shocking to watch this team operate. All the metrics, I won't bore people with the metrics, but in the regular season, the Patriots offensively were off the charts. They get to the postseason, and granted, they're facing a Chargers defense who's very good. Houston, one of the best in the league. And then, of course, Denver defensively outstanding, and you had a blizzard for half the game. But Seattle defensively is outstanding.
Yeah.
I think that Drake May's shoulder, I worry about that. He's been limited, apparently. And if you look at the passing numbers against Seattle, they take away the big shots. I don't think that the running game for New England's been impressive, and the offensive line's got issues. Seattle, I don't love laying the 4.5, but I do think that in a defensive battle, Seattle pulls away in the second half. I trust their offense a lot more. I think I got to believe what I've been seeing in New England's offense. So Seahawks minus 4.5 is my spread play.
All right, I'm going to take the Patriots with the 4.5. Just looking back at the history, Super Bowls tend to compress variance. You got a lot of conservative decisions early, and the underdog pretty much stays live deeper into the game than the market expects. The Patriots' profiles also hang around football. They've been built on defense and a quarterback who could create late if needed. And the key is that the plus 4.5 gives you breathing room on a bunch of very real final scores: 42-20, 23-20, 24-27, even 20-17. This isn't me saying Seattle can't win. This is me saying if Seattle wins, it's going to be by 1 score. So give me the Patriots plus 4.5.
There it is.
All right, so for our second pick, we're going to go over-unders, 45.5. Tim, your thoughts?
I expect this to be what you just said, and it would really surprise me, but I guess it could happen. It sounds like it would really surprise you, Anthony, if this thing turned into a shootout. I just don't know how that happens, and yet when I say that, I feel like I'm bringing it into the world that it will happen. But it just strikes me as kind of in the category of obvious that it's going to be a defensive battle, so I really like the under of 45.5.
Anthony?
You and I are in lockstep.
All right.
Yeah, you and I see it the same way. So the number one thing I think when you're looking at totals in any sport, basketball especially, but I think in football too, is pace. And these two teams play at a very slow pace. They're very deliberate. They like to take big shots offensively, but when you look at the way New England plays defensively in Seattle, they both limit the big shots. So if you take away the big plays, and a lot of it's dink and dunk, and Seattle likes to throw short now, you're going to get a very slow, deliberate pace of play. I think that both defenses have been great. Give me under 45.5, and I love the first half under of 23.5 at our partners at FanDuel. I think that this is going to be a situation, 2 defensive-minded head coaches that play things out almost like a boxing match. Where each of them are trying to figure out what the other one is trying to do. It's very slow paced. I think we get a low first half that keeps us under that 45 and a half number as well.
In the Super Bowl specifically, the early feeling out phase tends to chew up a lot of clock.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. When last year, I know the Eagles came out like a bat out of hell, but they didn't get a lot of help from Kansas City offensively. They shut them down. A lot of the times, I know a different Patriots team, but the Patriots have been known to just slowly, methodically build up their game, and then by the third and fourth quarter, they know what you're doing, and that's how they win the game. But I think this is going to be a very slow-paced game.
Well, ESPN points this out, their analysis. Seattle's preference for controlling the game with run under center action. New England's likely response is shorter passing, methodical drives. Again, that's not automatically low scoring, but it often is a lot of field goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Field goals, not fireworks.
Yeah.
So give me the under 45 and a half.
You're in lockstep.
Okay.
And then
in lockstep.
You got first half total?
I love the first half total of under 23 and a half.
Too.
I think that as well.
If we're going to do like a lock for this pod and then, a separate lock for like the props when we do the props, give me this as the lock.
I'm going to lock. You know what? Give me the lock on that too.
23 and a half. Now you're paying a little extra juice.
That's fine.
The juice is minus 140. So I would imagine that number is going to dip to 22 and a half. I don't think they're going to leave it high juice. I think odds makers are going to swing this back down to 22 and a half.
Anybody got to touch a money line on this? I like the money line. It's Seattle minus 235.
Yeah.
Patriots plus 194. I'm not making either money line, one of my main plays because I'd rather take the points with New England.
With me
being backing them at all.
With me being on Seattle, there's no value in minus 235. So no, I'm not touching it.
Yeah. Getting 2-1 isn't bad, but I think it's going to be a tight game, and to be able to cover in a low-scoring game and still not win outright, that's valuable to me.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk how maybe to pair these bets, what not to parlay, if you want to get into that, and what line moves would change our mind. Mm-hmm. It's the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, we're back on the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. So, Tim, Anthony, how do you bet this game? First, don't contradict yourself. Number one. If you're betting the Patriots plus 4.5, be careful also laying a bunch of Seattle blowout angles. Mm-hmm. If you're betting under 45.5, be careful stacking overs or both teams to score, 3+ touchdowns, those type bets. What would your advice be?
Well, I love playing daily fantasy. And when you lay out a lineup for daily fantasy, you try to envision the game script. So what is the game script here? You both made reference to it in our first segment, and that is in the case of both teams, they like to shorten the game by winning time of possession and by running the football. That's what the strategy has been. And then in addition, they have both been really good against the run. We've seen that throughout the course of the season and now the postseason. And it's also an indictment in part on the Patriots offense, which is what you made reference to. So if that's the case, then from that standpoint, it would really strike me as surprising if you saw somebody with, say, a big number from a passing yard standpoint or a receiving yard standpoint, a big number, hitting. And so, like you said, Riz, there's a domino effect to your plays. And so I see those plays as those are high-risk plays, but there are some value on some guys who I think would be in the category of low risk because the totals are so low for them. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Tim nailed it. You really have to tell yourself the game script. You have to buy into how you think the game is going to play out and then slowly build we'll call it a puzzle from there. But it starts with the framework. So for me, Seahawks minus 4.5, and I love the under in the first half and the under for the game. So what's the game script looking like to me? I think it's going to be, again, low score in the first half. And then the second half, New England never gets the offense going and Seattle pulls away. So in that case, I'm going to look for, we're not doing prop plays right now, but I'm going to look for some of those unders on the Patriots side. You could also tell yourself, hey, both teams move the ball, but then start to have issues in the red zone. Mm-hmm. If that's your game script, you better start looking at kickers. Yeah. and some defensive props.
Yeah, for me, my Super Bowl script. It's punts, it's field goals, and maybe one or two decisive drives. So it's Patriots keep it close, game stays in the mid 40s or below. But what would make you pass? So if under 45.5 got steamed down to 43.5, you're losing value. Still might be right, but is it a different bet?
Yeah, I don't love that. I mean, I guess you still have 23. So this goes back to what you said earlier, Riz, when you said, you like New England because you still get there 24-20.
Yeah.
Or you get there 27, 24.
2017.
Yeah, whatever. So if I'm thinking about it, 43.5 would be my absolute cutoff, but I'm losing 2 points of value, and I don't like it. But I still have 23-20.
23-20 is live, yeah.
23-17 is still live. I don't see New England scoring more than 17 points. So I think I'd base everything off that. My concern
we're all in the under.
Oh yeah,
we are.
If it goes down to 43.5, then I mean
that I wouldn't love.
Yeah, I would still stay on the under.
You'd still stay.
I still would stay on the under. I just don't see. I agree with you. I don't how the Patriots get to a spot where they're scoring 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then I don't think that Seattle's going to be able to pull away to the point that it becomes something where 50 points is in play. So that's where I'm like, I think 23-20 is right in the sweet spot on the end of the bell curve. But I still think that this thing features somebody in the teens, if not both.
You want an interesting hedge? If this game goes over, to me, it's not a shootout. It's because a special teams or defensive score happens. So what you could do, if you like the under like we do, there's a small hedge in that there's going to be props at
a defensive
will there
touchdown.
be a defensive or special teams touchdown.
This is Tony Stalter. This is the
Tony's
fifth
in
level
lab.
that Tony's on.
This is the lab.
This is the lab.
Need some lab work.
You probably won't, if you hit the under, you probably won't hit your hedge.
Yep. You're right.
But if it goes over, your hedge probably covers, and I haven't looked at it. You're probably getting plus odds on that. So if you want to hedge a little bit, that's the way. I think that would be the smart bet.
I really liked it.
All right, Tim, you and I are on Patriots plus 4.5.
Yes, sir.
That becomes 3.5.
I'm not jumping up and down about it because I feel like 17-13 is right in. If I could pick a score and get paid on it, which I do know is available, that's where I would go. So that would put the man to the test. I really enjoy 4.5. I do enjoy it.
I like the 4.
Yeah. Whereas 43.5 doesn't scare me. Going to 3.5 would give me pause.
Yeah. All right. So listen, let's take one more quick break. Then final cards, rapid fire, bet slip style. It's the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, final recap. Tim, what is your Super Bowl 60 bet slip look like?
I am enjoying both the Patriots and the 4.5, and then the combination of the under 45.5 for the game. And Anthony brought up that first half under. I agree with that. I think that could fall into the category of being sweat-free of 23.5. I really do like those plays. I just don't think either one of these teams is going to be able to go off offensively against the other team's defense. It really lends itself to a great value. I partially wonder why these numbers, I don't want to say they're super high, but as high as they are, because the public doesn't like to bet unders, and with the Super Bowl and all of the action on a Super Bowl, I wonder if that's why it's lingering up there, because I just don't think this is a realistic number to hit as far as...
I think you and I have our betting slips are the same.
Yeah, that's where I am on it. I just don't see it with these teams. And maybe, like Anthony said, you do hedge with a defensive special team score, one of those paying off, because that is really the only way, maybe two of them for that matter, the only way that I see that it goes into a high-scoring game.
And it's not like you can't cash both of them. I think they had
you're right.
Indianapolis and Chicago Super Bowl that was played in Miami.
First play.
You had
Hester.
Thank you, Devin Hester, taking the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, and it still stayed under throughout the game. Rashid Shaheed has already had a special teams touchdown in this playoff. He returned the opening kickoff against San Francisco. both of these teams have scored some defensive touchdowns, I could still see it going. But for me, if you're asking my official card,
your official bet slip,
the only one that we're opposite on, I like Seattle minus 4.5. I think they pull away in the second half. I love the under 23.5 in the first half, and I love the under for the game at 45.5. The other under I really like is the Patriots under 20.5 total points. I just don't. I don't see how New England gets to 21 plus. I don't. I just, even for you guys, I mean, I could see me losing Seattle minus 4.5 because Seattle wins by 4.
Right.
But then it's a 2017 game to me, or even 17-13. I do not see New England scoring 3+ touchdowns.
For the record, by the way, with regard to the numbers that we're talking about on the defense scoring, Seattle is anytime plus 550.
Wow.
And New England anytime is plus 850.
So there's your hedge.
There you go.
There's your hedge. All right, that's Super Bowl 60, guys. Good luck. Don't chase, manage the bankroll, and we'll see how we all did next week on the Spread Zone, powered by FanDuel.
We provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm gambling regulations in your state of residence. To participate in sports gaming, you must be 21 years of age or older and be physically present in a state where sports betting is legal. If you or someone you know has a sports betting or gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org for more information and further assistance.